Hello, my name is Liam Horan. I'm from Planet Youth and I'm joined by Gina Dowd, adolescent psychotherapist, who will elaborate on some of the points she made during last night's online workshop for parents of early adolescents.
Certainly would have been informed. Now we know every adolescent, when adolescence start to develop anxiety, start to develop worries and concerns. And along with that, then parents start to develop worries and concerns. And I think we can all remember back to secondary school and that first day. And it depended who you were with. It depended what was going on the bus. It depended what you had for lunch. It depends so much on your contacts and then your internal world of how you actually feel about yourself. And we've talked in all these videos of the type of adolescent. Are they directive? Are they inhibitive? Are they impulsive? So I would be asking this parent, what type of adolescent is this young man, young boy? Who is he? What does this parent know about this adolescent? Are they open? Are they engaged? Are they into sport? Are they somewhat inhibitive? Are they a worrier? And based on what this parent knows about this adolescent is how they tailor the support. Yes, we don't have full preparation for secondary school. It's important to acknowledge that. So things are a second and part of it is guessing. But when this parent looks at this adolescent, and perhaps this parent thinks about their own journey through school and what they had or maybe what they would like to have had, how can this parent then influence and support this adolescent? What do they need? What do they think they need? What does the adolescent expect secondary school to be like? What are their biggest worries? What is their biggest excitement about going? Who are the friends? How can they get contact and support from the friends over the next few weeks? Is there a collective worry? You know, sometimes when friends come into the home, you hear more of what's going on in the adolescent's life than what you hear from your own son or daughter. So it's about recruiting a knowledge base and understanding. We don't know how secondary school is going to look. And part of the preparation is we don't know. I'm guessing it's going to look like this. I am going to guess that we're going to be properly informed. I absolutely know that teachers have an interest in supporting adolescents and getting them through it. I may not have all the answers, but I know as a parent, I'm really interested in you, and I am absolutely going to do my level best to make this as easy as possible for all of us involved in this. Do you think other people are worrying, and be it your friends or whatever? What worries are they having? Because sometimes you have to externalize the conversation. Okay, so, what do you think James might be worrying about? What's Mary saying? And sometimes an adolescent is more open, because when you say sometimes, well, what's your worry? And they might say, well, I don't know. And they literally don't know, because they're on the spot going, well, I'm worried about 10 things. And sometimes we have to help them prioritize what the excitement level is and what the worry level is. So I would suggest to this parent, think about their adolescent, recruiting a bit of understanding of what other adolescents, other parents are saying, and knowing their adolescent, what does this parent want for them? What do they already know about them? And then it's some of the practical things. Okay, this is what normally happens on the bus. Where do you think you can sit on the bus? Where do you think, what kind of lunch would you like? And, we all want to fit in, no matter who we are. And, all the first years stand out, and they stand out like a sore thumb. And, when you're a first year, everyone's older, everyone's smarter, everyone's wiser. They all are. But there's a cohort of first years going to be there. And I would advise this adolescent as well, recruit them into thinking about their qualities. Listen, my experience of you, you're good at making friends. My experience of you, you're academic, you're sporty, you're creative. Tap into your knowledge base about them and recruit them into believing and having faith in themselves.
Okay, very good. Second question is closely related. The schools closed so abruptly, and I'm not sure how to explain to my 13-year-old about endings. It's an interesting word to use in terms of endings being a preparation for life and the many endings we encounter throughout life. This may have been their first opportunity to explain to somebody that age about endings.
It's really, really poignant at the moment, and it's really relevant. I don't know how we all do endings, and we all like to think that we do good endings and that we have a beginning, middle, and end. But here we have an open-ended piece that the rituals that are involved with school, whether we agree with them, whether we think they're fabulous, whatever our opinion is, they do endings. And school does that very well in terms of the talks they give, in terms of how they honor the sixth class student, in terms of how they prepare them in so many ways, through education, through the relationships that they build, through how the teacher can advocate and speak of the students they have, and the fact that the teachers know them by name. It's wonderful, you know, and I've seen the endings done in our local school, and they're very, very good, very good. So what is this parent worried about? So when you think about, I'm not sure, you know, how to explain, what is the actual challenge there? Because there's a little bit of I don't know in that conversation. There's a little bit of understanding how the adolescent is actually feeling, what their experience of endings has been before this, what the parents' experience of endings has been before. So there's a lot of acknowledgement needed here that no, it didn't happen the way we wanted it to. And what do you think you can do now? What do you think you might like to do? And then the parent comes in with their take on it, and that direction where you start to give the adolescent some choices. Now, they may reject the first two choices, but they usually go back to the first one. But it's that age-old thing of supporting someone to think that it's their idea. It works an awful lot better. And that especially works with adolescents, because an ending is a bit of a misnomer. It's a bit of a duh, or a bit of a oh moment, you know, oh, what do I do now? So this adolescent may well be still in shock. And we talk about change, we talk about transitions, we talk about endings. How does this parent want their adolescent to feel, to think about themselves? Their time in national school, was it good? Was it difficult? There may be a lot of background information that's starting to come to the fore here. So it's establishing first what's going on for the adolescent and having a curiosity about that. You're almost like a private detective sometimes with the feelings and thoughts. It's giving some open-ended discussion. You know, it's little tidbits sometimes in a conversation with an adolescent that you drop in at the dinner table, that you drop in at breakfast. And then it's an acknowledgement, we are in a very difficult time. Every first we have is not being met. So everything is a close second. So how do we deal with seconds? How do we deal, you know, with the silver or a bronze medal here? Because the gold medal isn't knocking around. And it's supporting that adolescent to think about, this may happen again. And that secondary school may not be what we hope it will be in September. We don't know. And it's going back to the first question. However, my sense is, my experience of educators, my experience of myself as a parent is, we will make this okay. And it's getting them to do that trust piece. It's recruiting them to think outside the box. And the explanation will be ongoing from now until possibly next January. And it will change. It's like dealing with COVID-19. When we started these talks, it was one piece. We're now 9 weeks in. It's a different process. 9 weeks' time, it will be different again. And what may be a worry now about explaining an ending may become a very interesting conversation. So if you had a choice to do endings, how would you do this now? If you were President of Ireland, what support would you give to sixth class students? And you're recruiting them into taking ownership of their life the whole time, becoming passionate and becoming interested, and giving them a sense of choice in a situation where choices are limited.
Okay, very good. Final question, Gina. My daughter is quite shy and I'm worried about her going to a new big school. We've all been that soldier at some stage.
Yes, and I would imagine that every parent can relate to this, especially if there's a parent that maybe is like that daughter or can remember back to that 12, 13-year-old self. And if parents take the time to go through the slides that are online. I haven't referred to them in this session, Liam, but I have a whole lot of slides that are there throughout the Planet Youth about adolescent development and what to expect. And I guess I'd use that word shy very flexibly. And whenever somebody comes to me, and usually a parent that says, I'm really worried, you know, my son, my daughter is very shy, you know, they're very anxious. I tend to think of shy and anxious as a highly intuitive adolescent. And it takes time for that intuition to come online. And it's an absolute gift to have intuition, to have patience, to have that lovely reserve attitude. It really is. And you think of all the careers that that person can go into with that kind of persona. It's amazing. But we sometimes tend to get focused on it, that it's shy and they're quiet and they're never going to make it. And oh my goodness, I hope they'll be okay. Because we have such, you know, hopes and concerns and fears in when it comes to education. And we know that how adolescents get categorized, we know how bullying happens, and we know all that. So when this adolescent maybe gets a little bit more reserved, it's thinking about, are they in their upstairs brain or are they in their basement downstairs brain? What does your adolescent need? You know this adolescent inside out. So what do you think he or she needs to go to secondary school? Do they need faith in themselves? Do they need to know that the persona they have is wonderful and it's acceptable to you and it's acceptable to them? Do they need to focus on the things that they're really good at? Again, be it the creative, the academic, but it's helping them recognize who they are, helping them stay upstairs, and that you stay upstairs with them. Because often we go down to the basement with them and it's like, oh my goodness, how are they going to make it? What's going to happen? Oh crikey, they're getting bullied on the bus. This is happening in the school. And we know all these horror stories and they are true. And we know all the research that has come out. World Health Organization yesterday, adolescents in Ireland are doing good. Again, Planet Youth is privy to all this. It's ongoing. But we know our online world, we're saturated with it. Cyberbullying, we know all these terms. So let this parent pay attention to who their adolescent is. Pay attention to when their worries are going up or when their worries are okay. Because when the parents' worries are down, they're doing something really well. And they stick to that formula. What does this adolescent need? What do I need to offer them? It's the what, how, the why of parenting. What am I doing? How is it showing up? Why am I doing it? And as long as we stay with the why, I'm interested, I love them, I care about them, you stay with their personality style and you don't try and change it. You stay with, was I like this? You know, maybe, you know, their mother, father was like this. Maybe there's a grandparent, maybe there's an aunt. We always tend to identify that person in the family that we're concerned about, that extended relative, you know, that we get the shame shivers about. But maybe there's someone wonderful in the family that, you know, has this beautiful, wonderful, creative career now because of their reserved, gentle, intuitive attitude. So I'll focus on the importance of this adolescence style and supporting that style. And we talked about it last night, the 3 R's of adolescence and parent. Helping your adolescent become relevant, helping you stay relevant as a parent. Staying relational, staying in contact. What are you trying to communicate? What do you want them to communicate to you? And understanding the resilience, which means understanding who you are, how you show up in the world, and how you need to be in the world, basically in a nutshell. And I think all those questions are relatable to each other. Understand your parenting style, understand your adolescent, and then move from that position in terms of support, communication, awareness building. See what other parents are doing. Perhaps you know a parent who has an adolescent in secondary school, you know, send them on to them. Sometimes, you know, when we talk to someone who's an experience in a certain area, it's like, oh yeah, I didn't think of that. And it supports parents in where there's a gap at the minute with that connection with school.
Okay, very good, Gina. Thank you as always for that, for those insights. It can be a difficult time for parents, but I've heard you make the point before as well. There can be a very rewarding and fulfilling and exciting time as well.
It can, and it's trusting who you are as a parent. You know, we are parenting without our normal supports, and that is difficult. But it comes back to your own intuition as a parent. It comes back to your relationship, whatever that relationship is like with your adolescent. And I do realize and I do understand it can be very challenging, hugely challenging. But it's also having faith in your style, your boundaries, your way of parenting, and recruiting them into an understanding then of their style. And often adolescents tell me what they don't have. I'm really interested in what they do have.
Okay, and a good point to finish on. More, of course, on planetyouth.ie. Lots of events happening to support parents and young people. Gina Dowd, adolescent psychotherapist, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you, Liam.